sins before it's too late and the war begins. Don't you dare to think that you can, that you will change their ways. In this land you never know what the demons that made you fall. Keep your fears deep inside, never look them in the eyes. In this land you never own, they got your freedom, they got your soul. Um frágil, Don't you be the innocent one. Keep yourself from the scourge. No place for mistakes. You better know your place. Don't you dare to think that you can, that you will change their ways. In this land you never know what the demons that made you fall.
Welcome. I'm Laura Mandel, Executive Director of the Jewish Arts Collaborative, and I'm delighted to welcome you to Studio Israel, a series that gives a peek into Israeli life and society through art. This conversation series is designed to give us a deep dive into some of the most important creative work coming out of Israel and to frame the work through this incredible Brandeis academic expertise. This series is a collaborative effort, so I'm actually proud to welcome you all on behalf of not only the Jewish Arts Collaborative, but of course the Rose Art Museum, the Schusterman Center for Israel Studies at Brandeis, the Hadassah Brandeis Institute, the Vilna Shul, Boston Center for Jewish Culture, and with a special thanks to CJP Arts and Culture for making this series possible. Today, we are in for a real treat with artist Zoya Cherkassky Nadi. I actually first came across Zoya's work around 2010, many years ago, when I discovered her Aachen Passover Haggadah work, which I cannot recommend checking out enough. I've watched all these years as her work has evolved, and today I'm really excited to hear her speak about her full story. Of course, we'll have questions, or a little bit of time for questions at the end, and our moderator, Ganit, will go ahead and ask some of those at the end. We are so lucky to have Zoya in conversation with Dr. Ganit and Corey, who will now be introduced by Shana Weiss, Associate Director of the Schusterman Center for Israel Studies at Brandeis University.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you all for being here today. On behalf of the Schusterman Center for Israel Studies, all our partners that Laura mentioned, I am so excited for this conversation and to welcome you all here today. I'm going to introduce Professor, Dr. and Curator Ganit and Corey, and then she will introduce Zoya. So Ganit, in addition to being an incredible scholar, author, educator, and friend, she is the Henry and Lois Foster Director and Chief Curator of the Rose Art Museum and a Professor of Fine Arts in Women, Gender, and Sexuality Studies here at Brandeis University. She has done incredible work in modern and contemporary art. She uses a global perspective. She thinks about all sorts of issues related to gender, identity, religion, trauma, exile, hybridity, disability, and how this manifests in the creative arts. She is especially known and renowned internationally for her scholarship on Frida Kahlo, who we see a little bit today, and her background in Israeli and Palestinian art. And just on a personal level, my friendship and relationship with Ganit, which I know that many other people, including Zoya, are lucky to have, has really taught me about the importance of creativity and mentorship and collaboration, all feminist values I know that Ganit takes seriously. And that role in creativity, that we're not just solo beings, that it's an important, we're all working together. And to that point, in the last decade, she has been engaged in an important dialogue and conversation with Ukrainian-born Israeli artist Zoya Cherkassky Nadi. Their conversation and friendship will inform the conversation we're going to have today. So please join me in welcoming Professor Ganit and Corey. Thank you.
Wow. What a lovely introduction, Shayna, and thank you, and thank Laura. And hey, Zoya, so great to talk to you again. I'm going to jump right into it because when I start talking with Zoya and looking at her art together, which today we'll share with all of you, there's never enough time. We always want more and more. So with your permission, I will share my PowerPoint with the images and we will start diving directly into it. So Zoya, I think that because your work is informed by your biography, your life, we should start there. And from there, extrapolate on the themes of immigration, identity, religions, living between cultures, and many other things that appear in your artwork, but which are really informed by your life. I chose this very recent photograph, which you call my family at the immigration office. And
Yes.
I want you to just talk us through this.
Okay, hi everybody. And I'm really excited to do this talk, and thank you, Ganit, for inviting me. As you said, I was born in Ukraine, and I grew there. Like I always knew that we are a Jewish family, but being Jewish in Soviet Union is a bit different from being Jewish anywhere else, because it's not a matter of religion; it's a matter of ethnicity. So when I was 14, I've moved to Israel with my family, and then I found out that in Israel we are not Jews. We are not Jewish because my mother's mother is Ukrainian. So like it's changing everything. So somehow I was like used to live my life as a minority, as Jewish in Ukraine and as Ukrainian in Israel. So I guess it has affected my art a lot, especially because I usually depict what I see. Like all my paintings, they are based on my personal experience. And here, at this image, what we see is actually my husband. He's a Nigerian immigrant, working immigrant. He came to Israel 15 years ago, like to look for work. And I met him when actually I invited him to model for me, and we are married already for 13 years, and we have a daughter who is 7. And at this picture, she's like much younger. And actually, this is the moment when my husband got his Israeli citizenship. It took us like 7 years to get it, and my daughter was 2 years old, and this is like the happy moment, but this is just the moment before, because like I guess you can see how I'm worried by my face expression, because it's like really tough process when they investigate you, like ask you questions, like they put you apart and ask you questions about like what color of toothbrush your husband have, or like what color of underwear he's wearing now. And like even as a married couple, you not always remember such things. So like you really have to be prepared. And there is a TV in the corner, and there is in Hebrew there is a word losing identity. And actually there was some advertisement talking about losing the ID card, but I always try to find meaningful details. So this losing identity frame, it was like perfect for this situation.
Right. So for those of you who have not had what's the opposite of pleasure? The displeasure of going to the immigration office in Israel. Here you take a number. Here it says what you need to do to extend your visas and the hours. Of course, there's a lot of national pride, but it's always a stressful time. And here, this loss of identity when you come from Ukraine and you come from Nigeria, you leave behind cultures, you find a way of building your family in Israel with Vera and everything. It's complicated. It's complicated. So these events, both her own immigration, her childhood in Ukraine, in Kiev, actually, her husband's family in Nigeria, all these lived experiences find expression in the works that we'll see now. And Zoya and I organized this PowerPoint according to series. We want to go through most of them quickly so we have time for a preview of the new work that will be shown for the very first time next week in New York at Fort Gansevoort Gallery. So this is one of the main works called New Victims from, I don't know if you can see the catalog. Yeah. Pravda, a series of works by Zoya that was shown in the Israel Museum. So why don't you start with the title of the exhibition and then move to this incredible painting?
Yeah, well, actually, this exhibition, I made it in 2018. And it was, I think, the first time that the story of post-Soviet immigration of the 90s to Israel was told so massively. I was actually working on this project for 9 years. And it's like a satiric project about like the life of post-Soviet immigrants in Israel. And this is the very first moment when actually it's my family descending the airplane. And this image looks like very typical Jewish agency advertisement for the Aliyah, for like immigration to Israel, Jewish immigration to Israel. And it's like me, my grandparents, my mom, and there is the last one is my grandmother. She didn't want to come, but her husband, my grandfather, he died just a couple of months before we were supposed to come. So we stayed a little bit more and like actually dragged her by force. And she was like not happy to be here, and she was looking from the window, and she was seeing airplanes coming to the airport, and she was like saying all the time, new victims, and it really made me crazy because I was like a young girl. I was like 14, and I was like trying to be optimistic, and my grandmother was just spoiling it. So this is why I named this painting New Victims.
All right. So already we see your kind of subversive humor where, you know, there's the ideal of what immigration to Israel is, and then you have this perspective of a multi-generational perspective of the problems as well, and her seeing it as new victims. You also have details like, I remember you said you came and you had to wear all your clothes because
we only were allowed to take like 40 kilos with us, so we tried to put as much as possible on ourselves.
Right.
So, and it was December in Ukraine. December is pretty cold, so it was okay wearing 3 pairs of pants. But when we came to Israel, it was a bit hot.
And you can see the kind of gap between the cultures when you see the local woman with her short sleeves and the Russian, what was called Russian. You are Ukrainian, and again, there was a homogenization of all the people from the Soviet Union, which today we know is not the case. So this is briefly the impetus for the immigration. Would you like to tell us about this work?
Yeah, actually, I built this series in sort of like before and after images. And here, like what we see here is this painting is called Pooch, and it's about the Pooch of 1991 when some members of Communist Party, they tried to stop Gorbachev reforms, so they sort of arrest him in his summer house. And one day we just woke up and we've seen the Swan Lake on TV on all the three national channels. And in Soviet Union, if you see the Swan Lake in all the channels, it means something happened. But the government still doesn't know how to digest it to the citizens. So they put this Swan Lake on all the channels just to I don't know, to make a pause. And here is like a girl and her mother. They're like in shock because they understand that something happened.
Right. I want you to notice a few details that relate to, I would say, Zoya's unique style of painting and her own kind of visual vocabulary. So you'll notice this schoolgirl uniform, which will appear in a different series. And you'll notice the polka dots, which I think you really like, even that it kind of travels from painting to painting. Of course, the knockoff Gucci is an indication of the socio-political situation where there is a look that, of course, Gorbachev was initiating towards the West.
Yeah, this Gucci is fake, of course, and I just use this clothes to put these characters in exact point of time, 1991, because before the 90s there was no these fake Gucci shirts in Soviet Union, because they started bringing them from China and from Poland and from everywhere, and after the 1991 there was no school uniform. So somebody who knows the background and looking at this picture, he understands exactly the time when it happened.
Exactly. So historical, there's also something that you notice here, and that's a kind of satirical, almost caricature way of showing people, and we'll see that in other works as well. We move from the Soviet Union to the immigration to Israel from Odessa to, here it says Namal Ashdod, which is the port of Ashdod in Israel, still unpacked. And we have 3 generations of immigrants, and the language barriers are one of the topics here. Can you elaborate on that, Zoya?
Yes, of course. Well, this painting is called Fucking Hebrew, and there is a family that is like trying. This is the Hebrew learning book, Ivrit Chaya. It was like the most popular Ivrit learning book for the immigrants from post-Soviet countries, and the parents and the boy, they are like learning. And the grandfather, there is no hope for him. So he's like lying back there. It's like he's sort of half dead there. And he is reading a newspaper, which is called Russian Israeli. And they have bad news in it. Like soon all the elderly people, their money will be cut. And as always, I use these details. Like it's very important for me to get the precise details. Like this underwear that the man is wearing is like very typical Soviet design for underwear. I think my grandfather, he came with them, and I've seen it for 20 years hanging on the dryer there. So I can repeat this pattern with my eyes closed, I think.
Right.
And the woman, she's like wearing this crazy t-shirt because at that time people from Soviet Union, they didn't know English so good, so you could see sometimes people with funny texts on their clothes. Like for example, once I've seen like very cute grandfather on the street, and he had like animal on his t-shirt.
Right.
Yeah.
So and of course there's a lot of humor here, a lot of details. She's writing, Ani Ola Chadasha miRussia, I am a new immigrant from Russia. And it also relates to anthropological and sociological research on the immigrant experience, where the kids are going to be fine, The parents, not so fine. The grandparents are not even going to try. So
Yeah,
you see
hopeless.
they, well, you said it. I don't want to say hopeless, but, and you see the kind of, they didn't even unpack. They're still in transition.
And there is yeah. Well, this is this painting is called Bamba because this is like a favorite Israeli snack, and this is what she found under the bed. It's like a cleaning lady, and I think like most of new immigrants went through this experience of being a cleaning person. And also my mom, who is engineer, she was like cleaning houses for like 1 year when we came. And it's not possible to see it on this image, but she has like a real earring in her ear in shape of a music key. So like, I guess she's sort of musician that is working in cleaning. And there is also on the TV, there is a program, it's like satiric program in Israel, which is called Zeuze. It means that's it. But here it's like, sounds threatening, this name.
Right. So, you know, there was a lot of hoo-ha in Israel about the immigration, and this is, you know, this is where the gathering of all the exiles, etc., very heroic, very positive image, and kind of vision. And Zoya's work really looks at the lived experience, and all these musicians. They say that the musicians who came from the former Soviet Union could make up like 3 or 4 full orchestras.
Yeah.
Of course, not everyone could find employment as doctors, as engineers, and many found these jobs just to make ends meet. And always the kind of typical landscape that is in like almost Orientalism here with the palms, but also the typical kind of housing in Israel that's middle and low class housing.
There was boilers on the roof.
Right, you have the water heaters on the roof. And this is, and by the way, you see the polka dots in all of them. I'll let you guys look at them yourselves. But Zoya, this has to do not just with the language barrier or the employment gap, but with the religious predicament.
Yeah, well, actually, this image is like talking about conversion, because many people like myself, like we had to go through conversion to be Jews, and we did an attempt with my mother that didn't really work, because it's like not like you really have to change your life to the Orthodox lifestyle, and it was not really like we didn't really want to do it, so we tried and then just abandoned it. But some families, it's like important for them to go till the end, and there is at some stage there is somebody from the religious community is coming to
Inspect.
to actually
Inspect.
It's rather help than inspect, because they like come to guide you how to make your kitchen kosher. But many people, they were like angry about it, because it's like, you know, it's like some people call it help, some people call it inspect, you know, like it's still it's intervention in your private space, you know. So this picture is like sort of funny, because there is a family that they got ready and they have like Shabbat challah and candles on the table, and they're like prepared, but they are like not really professional Jews, so they cook this pork in the pot, and probably it's like I see it like as a frame from a sitcom or something, because this Orthodox man is opening this pot, and he see this pork nose. Maybe it's the first time in his life that he see it so close, And there is also a box with mizra in the fridge, because mizra is like the kibbutz that is producing most of non-kosher foods in Israel. And they have this red bottle with the drink Crystal, which is the Coca-Cola for Soviets, Orthodox, and Arabs, because it's cheap.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is the people who want to try to fit into Jewish Israeli society, and some of
Yeah.
the people go in a different direction.
Yeah, like some of them, they just suffer for a while and then they go back to their previous life. But I think that me and my mom, we were just not motivated enough to pretend that we are into it. And this is actually, this is also like all these series, they deal with the cultural clash situation. So here it's called Jaffa Dalet, which is actually a neighborhood where a lot of Arabic people used to live before they came of the big aliyah from Soviet Union. But when it happened, then also many like post-Soviet people, they came to live in this neighborhood. And there was a rock club for a Russian-speaking youth. And I was going there because I was like a Russian-speaking young girl that liked rock music. And the one in the middle is used to be my boyfriend back then. So they just sit outside of this club, drink, and play their Russian rock music. And there is two Arab women on the background that it's just a situation where like they look aliens to them, and these guys, they look aliens to this woman.
Right. So you have these groups with this feeling of alienation, trying to kind of create their own cultures, drinking a lot of here. We see this kind of thing continue where you have the very, very challenging housing situation, one room for an entire family. And here you have the parents, here you have the son. Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, this one is actually it belongs to the series called Soviet Childhood, and it's based on my memories from the perestroika times, which was very exciting and full of hopes, and everybody was like feeling that soon we will be free and soon the life will be just paradise. And for the young people, it was especially made us happy that all the music and the pop culture from the West became available. So sometimes all these posters from the rock bands or punk bands or like glam rock bands, they are placed all together. You could see like Kiss and Modern Talking together because it's from the West, you know. So it's like good enough to be on your wall.
Right.
And the parents, they are like belong to the past, like they are like typical Soviet parents, and the boy is a rebellion, and this it was like very typical to trying to create a private space for a growing child in this one room apartment. So like people used to divide it with a closet, and like there are like many young people who grow behind the closet.
Right. So this brings us to this series, Soviet Childhood, and this young boy is attempting to find an identity that looks towards the West. What about this little girl?
They used to call it the rotten breath of the West.
The rotten breath of the West. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this little girl has a different outfit that she's going to put on.
Yeah, this is the school outfit. And I think this is like one of the strongest memories when you go in the morning, you go to school and it's still dark outside and then it's winter and cold. And you feel like it's like you feel like you have to wake up in the middle of the night and go somewhere. So I think this is like, there is no much to tell about this painting because it's like purely emotional.
Right. But I think that most of us can remember that Monday feeling of going to school and not wanting to. Here is something that happens in school. The
Yes,
cloakroom.
this is the cloakroom, and it's also like atmospheric because there is this school uniforms that everybody hated, and this changing room. It's like also like this like sort of intimate moment when everybody's like getting undressed, and also it's like I don't know, I think everybody's been through this situation, so like I don't need to explain much. I just try to transfer this feeling, you know.
Right. So gym class or something like that. And is this, you know, you were 13, 14,
Yeah.
the first years of school, this would be what you went through.
Yeah, and also, you know, it's like a place when you see, like, you know, like in this other situation, we are all dressed the same in this uniform. And in the changing room, we can see who have what underwear, you know.
Right, a little bit of individuality.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorites. You talk through it, the girls' bathroom.
Yeah, well, this one is a bit crazy because this is how the toilet in the school was, without the door, and also it was the place where children used to hide, smoke, or do something forbidden, you know. So and there was no doors, so you could at the same time like do what you need to do and still be part of a conversation. So
Yeah.
And I've been to my school a year ago and still the same, but they have doors now.
Okay, that's good. That's good. But you know, a lot of your paintings, you kind of sense this lack of private space, the public and the private.
Yeah, I think this was one of the strongest experiences in Soviet Union. Like you don't really have private space there.
Right, and
You know,
then
when I came to the school 1 year ago with my daughter, she like entered this toilet and she said like, "Mom, how do I use it?" She didn't understand.
right. And you know, when you had the experience with your husband and daughter in the immigration office, they were also probing into your marriage and your private space. So
it's even worse than Soviet toilet. You know, I would agree to use Soviet toilet in the end of my life and forget this experience with the Ministry of Interior.
Right. So this idea when you are subject to kind of these probing and peering by the authorities, either by the school, by others, by society, or by the government.
Yeah.
Okay. We are now, we should have a drum roll. We are now moving to the new works. This is the new exhibition that opens April 7th in Fort Gansevoort Gallery in New York City. And the title of the exhibition and the series is The Arrival of Foreign Professionals. And we are going to get a sneak peek, and this is really, really exciting. So maybe you can begin by explaining this painting that is titled The Arrival of Foreign Professionals after Zoya Cherkassky. It's from 2022. And I have the comparisons later, as you remember.
Yeah. Well, actually, this whole series, there is one painting by my grandfather's uncle, who was very well-known painter in Soviet Ukraine and then in Soviet Kazakhstan. He was one of the like leading artist in the Kazakhstan Art Academy. And this is his painting from 1932 that I didn't really know about the existence of this work. And then somebody sent it to me on Facebook and he said, like, look, this is your family. And I was like, this situation looked like really weird to me, because even now there is not so many Africans in Ukraine, and in 1932 I believe there was like really few, so I didn't really understand what happened here. And then I started digging a little bit, and then I found out then that the Soviets, they in the 30s, the Soviet Union was going through like massive industrialization. They built like new factories, bought new equipment, and they needed professional workers who that know how to work with this new equipment. So they went to the States that during the time of Great Depression, and they tried to tempt like professional workers to come to Soviet Union to teach the Soviets how to use all this machinery. And there were like few African Americans that they were like went to Soviet Union to work, and even one of them even wrote very beautiful memoir about it. And I believe this is what is happening in this painting. There is like African Americans came to Ukraine or like Russia, I don't know, and the Soviet family is welcoming them. And on the back you can see the factory. So I believe my guess was right because of the details of this painting. So I've decided to do a remake of this painting of my grandfather's uncle, like with my own language, but it's quite the same situation.
So I find this astounding, 1932 and 2022, different decades, different circumstances. And also the twists, because people see this when you think of professionals and experts and Black and white folks. There's like an assumption that Europeans came to Africa as experts to help the local population, whereas here it's absolutely the other way around. You have the African-American engineers and professionals coming to help the people in Europe and Asia. So something pretty amazing. And this kind of family situation where it isn't animosity. It's just a wonderful family situation together.
Actually, I forgot to say that this whole exhibition is like talking about experience of Africans in post-colonial world. So it's also like some of the paintings, they are like placed in Soviet Union. Some of them are placed in somewhere else in Europe, in Israel, like Muslim places that are like Muslim. They're based on situations that I've seen.
Right. So we'll see a few of these, but this is extraordinary to think that your father's great uncle, your grandfather's uncle, was a painter, and this homage to him and this continuation.
Yeah, actually, this painting. Somebody wrote me, like I've never seen it in real life, and then somebody wrote me that it's on display in Kiev, like a little bit more than 1 year ago, and I went to Kiev just for one day to see it, so I've seen it, and it was my last visit to Kiev actually, because 2 months after the war started.
Wow, that must have been so emotional.
Yeah, I mean, it became even more meaningful since then.
Right. I'm sorry that I didn't even ask about the situation there and how you may feel about it, but
you better don't ask him.
Yeah. So this is one of my favorite paintings, and I would love for you to share what it
Well,
means with the.
this is like based on real story by my husband. I asked him how did he come to Israel. He came to Egypt, and then there is like sort of smugglers that bring people through Israeli-Egyptian border. Like it doesn't happen anymore because there is fence now, but before there was no fence, so people were doing it. And like he said, like he really described me this the car, this Toyota Hilux, and he said there was like people from Africa and from post-Soviet countries. So I feel like somehow this there is always somehow a lot of common situation for like people from post-Soviet countries and for Africans, because like they in a weird way they sometimes share the same experience and same stories.
Yeah. So this is for those of you who have been to the Sinai and to southern Israel, beautiful, beautiful landscape and quite empty. So these were the smuggling routes, and there's a lot of human trafficking. Some people are seeking political asylum or economic opportunities in Israel, leaving Africa, and post-Soviet women are often actually trafficked to Israel, either of their own free will or not. It's a very complicated situation, but this common point from the entry point is interesting, which brings us to this, Zoya, the dorms.
Yeah, well, this is like a situation from the 80s. And again, here the roles are different because there was like Soviet Union was supporting students from African and Arab countries. So there was like in Moscow, there was even special University of People's Friendship. It was called the Patrice Lumumba University, where like African and Arab students were studying. But in every big university or college, there were like foreign students. And for us, it was like very like for us, it was like the only possibility to meet somebody from abroad. So everybody was like really curious. And also like, you know, they were like supposed to be simple people, but actually they were usually children of like rich people from Africa and from, or like leaders of the Communist Party or just rich people, you know. So they were like quite rich compared to local girls. So it was like tempting in many ways to meet them. And actually, this is based also on evidence of my sister that she was married she got married to a student from Jordan. And this is how she met him at the party. And she was like helping me to make this picture, this painting. She was like giving me advices.
Right. And we see sometimes that marginalized populations gravitate towards each other or find common ground, as Zoya said earlier.
Yeah, but I think in Soviet Union, they were not marginalized. They are just like, you know, just regular girls.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the Soviet Union, but it was an
Yeah.
opportunity, not marginalized, but people who want to get away from the dominant mainstream Soviet
Yes, I think it was
culture.
also curiosity for the other, because like nobody could go abroad and nobody could see foreigners so much. So it was like really, we were like really curious to talk to them even.
Right. So not marginalized, but
Yeah.
others. Yeah. And this is back in Israel, right?
Yes, and I think you can see that it's in Israel by the Gold Star beer on the table. And actually, this is the situation. Like, I came to this place and I didn't have to add anything. I just seen it as it is, and I said, okay, I have a ready painting. is a place that used to belong to a friend of my husband, and it's sort of illegal bar. And where like the husband is Nigerian, the owner is Nigerian, and you can see him on the left side, and he was sitting like that and reading the Godfather book. And there is a TV on the wall that there was a National Geographic channel, and there was like a mockumentary about bear attacking tourists in some gorgeous national park. And it's like a place where only beer and few snacks like olives was served, and all the Nigerian workers used to go there. And there was also Israeli and many like Russian and Ukrainian girls like looking for like one night stand. Like this was like a pretty sleazy place. But when I've seen it, it just catch my eyes so much.
Right. Definitely margins of society. And she looks like an Asian worker. I wonder if that's correct, because a lot of the women from various Asian countries.
Yeah, she could be. And I also try to build a relationship between the people in this image, because this girl that might be Asian, she's just you don't know, like maybe she's trying hard she's just playing hard to get, or maybe she just doesn't like the guy and he's like looking at her and like doesn't know how to approach her.
Right.
And the one on the left, she's just a bimbo.
Okay. And speaking of this kind of stereotyping that you do in your art, which some people find offensive, certainly not like easy to do, but we were talking about that and you said that's part of your project.
Yes, I mean, I'm like talking about stereotypes, and I have to bring them and make them clear and make them even grotesque to show them better.
Right, right. So I see we have about 10 minutes left. I want to go through some of these quickly so that we have time for some of the questions. This broke my heart.
Yeah. This is actually a friend of mine who came from Nigeria, and she was working as a caregiver in a elderly people house. And all these people in this house, there's like many of them are Holocaust survivors. And here is like, again, the meeting of two stories, this working immigrant woman and the Holocaust survivor with Auschwitz number on her hand.
Right. And the cross. So religion also starts, well, not starts, continues to be also one of the kind of conflicts or issues that you deal with. And we're moving to, I just wanted to also say, there's something about the codependence of different people that I find very moving.
Yeah, yeah.
So there is a whole like amazing series of paintings that are actually from Nigeria, right?
No, this one is actually from Belgium.
From Belgium, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
so
usually
talk about Belgium.
Every time I go to Europe, I try to find African market, because I bring some foods for my husband that they don't sell in Israel. So on the same occasion, I do sketches. And there was a place in Brussels called Matonge, and it's like the African neighborhood in Brussels. And they have like this amazing hair and nails. There is always a black man and woman that does hair, and an Asian man that does nails. They like work in a band, and they have this huge window glasses. So I was like sketching a lot in this neighborhood.
That's amazing. So you see how new this series is, that we didn't even have a chance to talk about it and to think that it's in Belgium. It's very interesting that the mannequins for the wigs are all white women, and then all the customers are blacks, and there's an Asian man painting the nails. It's just a stunning work.
Thank you.
This one.
This one is from Paris.
I saw the Eiffel Tower, that one I got.
I put the Eiffel Tower for people to see. It's in Paris, but actually you can't see the Eiffel Tower from this place. We went to, it was also in the African market, like that we went to find to look for some food with my husband. And the experience was really similar to I said to my husband, look, we are like in a Enugu market in Nigeria. I'm the only white person here on the street. And there was like this, a lot of, for some reason, there is a lot of shops that sell cellular phones and all the accessories for cellular phones. And this is just the scene I've seen there. There was like a group of African guys, all dressed black. And another guy was passing by with roasted corn. So I don't know, somehow it just made a painting in my eyes. And this is based on it's an event, a memorial day of my friend's father. And actually, like almost all the female characters in this exhibition, they are based on my friend Lucy, that I met her in Nigeria before she came to Israel, and then she came to Israel, and we are like still friends. And this is the tradition of making like a memorial day or a remembrance day. The daughter, she performs a dance, and all the women, they throw money on her. And I was like at this party, and everybody was giving dollars for some reason. I was the only one who brings shekel. And her son, who is like 9 years old now, he was just crawling in between the people and collecting this money because he was afraid that it will get lost or something. It was like a funny and cute situation.
Yeah, so different cultural rituals and things.
Yeah, actually, they also do it in Nigeria, this event, but instead of money, they give fabric. Like for a wrapper, it's like 6 yards of fabric. And this is in Nigeria. It's like my older painting. I've been in Nigeria, I think, like 4 times, and this was before my daughter was born. So here you can see myself in the left corner, and my husband, he brought presents and he's sharing them to his family. And actually the last painting in this slideshow is the same story.
Yeah. So I just, when I saw you here, and I thought, oh my God, once again, she is different, an outsider. So a Jew in Ukraine, an outsider, Ukrainian in Russia, in the Soviet Union, an outsider, an immigrant in Israel, an outsider, and then the wife of a Nigerian man with his family in Nigeria, you're an outsider. Yeah. But yeah, you said it differently. You said how they responded to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm outsider, like maybe culturally or like ethnically, but as an artist, I think I'm like just in the middle of consensus in Israel. Like I'm such a mainstream artist here, and I mean, I just feel comfortable being like foreigner because I've been foreigner like all my life, so I don't feel like something is wrong. So, but in Africa, of course, it's different because I'm like the only white person in the village. Like there are other people married to people from Europe or people from wherever, but they don't live there. It's just, you know, we just come to visit. And for children, of course, they just come to touch me if I leave a paint on their finger or something.
Right. So I just want to say that when you said that as an artist, it's like art is the only place where you belong. And you're not
in my homeland.
It's your homeland. I was thinking that being both an insider and an outsider in that kind of liminal space, that's the best position for an artist. So you both know the culture, but you also see it from the outside. I think I'm going to go, Zoya, quickly through until the last one because we have 5 minutes for questions.
This painting is called The Widower, and we went to see a friend of my husband that lost his wife just 1 day ago, and he was like sitting in his room with his eyes red, and it was like such a strong, moment.
Right. And, you know, we see all the Christian imagery, the tired tailor.
Yeah, they just really love Jesus there, you know.
Yeah.
So the tailor, it's like, it's, you know, like in Nigeria, the families are huge. There are like millions of people and they're all nadies. And like usually when you go shopping, you go to your family. So also the tailor, she's somehow related. And we went to her store, to her shop, and this fabric with the purple horses, it was our uniform for my husband's mother burial, because
Right.
everybody's making same like clothes, like different styles, but same fabric. And we came to her to fit this clothes, and she didn't have work at that moment, so she was sleeping at the table. It was so cute.
Very cute. And we see some of the fabrics in the clothes later. I want to get to this one and end, and we have time for a few questions. I looked in the chat. Most of them, Zoya, are just thank you to you and
Thank you.
interactions with everything you said and laughing at your jokes and being interested in your art. But this is a work in progress. This is, as you see, it's in Zoya's studio still.
Yeah, I'm just working on it now. So I wanted to bring it. It's like same situation when my husband is sharing presents, but now it happens in our gorgeous villa in the village of Ngo. And also this painting is based on a 19th century painting by a painter called Martino.
Okay, so you take the classical, the traditional European paintings, and you transform them into your villa with Sunny giving out all the gifts to the big Nadi family. And of course, we have the polka dots as well. So thank you everyone for joining us. I'm looking at the wonderful comments. Okay, so the MFA, someone from the MFA here in Boston says that they have acquired your Akenagada and have it. They ask that I write the title of the books in the chat. So I will write that. And oh, Madeline already did. The catalog is called Pravda. Pravda means truth in Russian, and it's also the party newspaper.
It's like the party newspaper.
Right. The details for the exhibition, everyone, all my team already put it in the chat. So Ms. Cherkassky uses such an interesting color palette in each painting. Could she explain her process for selecting and using color?
It's very intuitive. I like modernist painting where everything is a little bit exaggerated. So I guess my palette is like more bright. But I mean, I just do it very intuitively.
Okay. Lively and fascinating webinar. So happy to experience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful
Thank
work,
you.
especially the shadow colors. Okay. Thank you, Zoya.
Thank you.
Wonderful to learn more about you, Zoya. Thank you for showing Zoya's beautiful work. Wow. Just thank you for everyone. So we have 1 minute left. Oh, one more. I love your work. Thank you. Zoya, there are no questions. There are only a lot of praise. And I'm really happy to thank everyone for joining us. Thank you, Zoya, not just for joining us, not just for joining us and not just for your friendship, but also for your art. I think it brings a lot of understanding to all of us. And I'll see you in New York next week at the opening. There is a question, will this tape be available? So J Arts are the initiators of this, and all the collaborators. We have recorded this, and it's still recording, and it will be available through the Rose website, through our YouTube channel, and everyone else. I think that we will be ending this webinar, and just thank you so very, very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you.